This message comes from IXL, providing an online learning environment intended to keep students' skills sharp over summer vacation. The platform covers core subjects and adapts to each child's pace. Receive 20% off at ixl.com/NPR.
What's something from your childhood that you would have been really embarrassed if your parents had posted about?
Oh, gosh. I went through a lot of phases, with like my hair and my makeup.
Okay.
And like, do you remember? I don't know how old you are, but I'm 33. And like, we had the like swooped bangs, the like millennial swooped bangs.
My sister was emo. I am 38.
Okay.
My 37-year-old sister was emo for a stretch. I remember the bangs.
So my family used to call them the curtain.
That's cute.
And if my parents had posted the curtain, I would be really upset.
That is very cute, actually.
Yeah.
I could see how that would be upsetting. I could see it being upsetting. I think for me, I got the stomach flu as a child.
Oh, no.
There was like a stretch where I was getting it every year. Sometimes things were coming up, sometimes things were going down. And I think that I probably would have been mortified if my mother had posted about that.
And do you know that would have done so well?
I mean, from reading your book, I know I would have done so well.
I'm like, your mom messed up.
I don't know if you have this feeling, but sometimes I look at social media and I see some wild, very intimate stuff. And I'm like, wait, when did this become normal? I'm not a Luddite and I'm on social media, honestly, too much to be a true hater, but it feels like it changed so much so quickly to the point where I look up sometimes baffled at how much we all know about strangers. And I feel this way the most when I see videos of strangers' kids, with the parents discussing the intimate details of their children's lives. Kids are everywhere on the internet, and not just playing on Roblox, but they're the stars of many, many, many family influencing pages, which in some ways feels more invasive than child stardom, in my opinion. I recently saw a video where a mom was talking about how her kid was having such a hard time making friends, and I'm like, don't put her business out there like that. So what happens when parents trade their kids' privacy for financial security? And how does that content play into feedback loops about what family life should look like? To get into it, I'm joined by Fortessa Latifi, senior writer at Yahoo and author of Like, Follow, Subscribe, Influencer Kids and the Cost of Childhood Online. Welcome, Fortessa.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. Okay, so you start off in your book by talking about the evolution of mommy blogging into family influencing. These are kind of two different things. Tell me about that shift in talking about family life online and what changed.
Yeah, I mean, I think mommy blogging is so fascinating because it really was the first time that women were talking about the reality of what it's like to get pregnant and have kids and be postpartum and hate your husband a little bit and wonder if you made a mistake having children. Like, we were not having these conversations before these women started these blogs. And it was really fascinating because the mommy bloggers were not able to monetize their blogs in the beginning. And so they were really just writing kind of for themselves and for each other and for a light out of the, what can really feel like the darkness of early motherhood and postpartum. Mm-hmm. And then everything changed once it became profitable and once Instagram and YouTube came on the scene. Those first mommy bloggers were really writers above everything else. Like, they would write thousands of word essays about like a child losing a tooth and like what that meant emotionally for them. And like, by the time Instagram and YouTube came around, everything was more image centric. So everything had to be perfect and beautiful. And so what I think is really fascinating is that those early mom blogs, the mothers were the main characters. And now with family influencing on Instagram and on YouTube, really the kids became the main character and they became the draw, and the mothers kind of faded into the background.
Even when you go to like visit a family member and you start breaking out the photo albums and stuff like that, what do people want to see? They want to see baby pictures. They want to see kids because they're cute.
It's normal.
And so if you're trying to build up a visual brand, or if you feel like you have to in order to stay competitive in a certain kind of market, I imagine cute kids would factor into that a lot.
kids do really well and young kids do really well. So I think it's kind of sad by the time they're like 5 or 6, it's like they don't really do as well online.
Really?
Yeah, it's really like the small, like the toddlers and the babies and pregnant bellies do really well, which was interesting for me because when I was writing this book and then again, right as this book was coming out, I was pregnant with my first and my second. And I didn't post at all about being pregnant the first time. And then the second time, for a multitude of reasons, I couldn't keep it to myself. And I noticed that when I posted with my belly, it did really well. And I was like, okay, let me put the book link with it, you know?
Wow. You saw the utility of the strategy.
I saw it myself. It was so strange.
There was another category of child, or at least childhood experience, that also you mentioned doing well. However, unfortunately, which is like sick children.
Yeah, sick, sad, or injured children. So kids who are in distress in some way, those videos and photos do incredibly well. I had multiple parent creators tell me that on the record. And I kind of had that instinct just from like the research I had done. But for them to tell me that and to consciously know that, I feel like made it a different calculation for them to be deciding to post it. Part of it is that we're just drawn to kids, and we're especially drawn to kids in vulnerable situations. And I think it's also just that like we slow down to look at car crashes, you know, like we just can't help but look. And it's like this voyeurism. And I think the voyeurism is put up a notch when it's a vulnerable population like children. But it is a really uncomfortable thing to know that that content does better.
Yeah. But going back to the regular picture perfect kind of family content, like I understand why adult women who aspire to be mothers or people who are moms would watch that sort of family content, either fantasize about their lives or compare themselves to these families. Like it's kind of like a graduation from following fitness content or fashion content or beauty content, right? But there's also another sort of audience I was very surprised to learn about after reading your book. You report that young people, children and teenagers also watch family influencing content. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I know. It made me kind of sad. I talked to a lot of viewers to really get kind of a broad swath of understanding of why people watch this content. And there were many teenagers who told me, you know, I don't have the best family life. I come from what they consider a broken family or a difficult family position. And they watch this as kind of, I think of it as the way that we might have watched like Full House in our youth, just to see like a perfectly functioning family where like the dad apologizes to the kids when he does something wrong, you know, like it's just like, oh, look at this perfect family.
It's like living in a fantasy to a certain degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that people do watch, like that also means that family influencing can be really, really lucrative. Like just so that the listener gets a sense, so we all get a sense. How much money can these influencers make?
Yeah, I mean, it really runs the gamut. Like it depends how many followers you have, how many brand deals you have, how engaged those followers are. But at the top end of the scale, you can make millions of dollars a year.
Yeah. You know, we're talking about a lot of money or the possibility of a lot of money being on the line here. But I mean, with that money comes like a whole host of issues. Yeah. Let's start by talking about the privacy issues. I mean, you recounted in the book stories of teens being bullied because of past vlogs where parents talked about them doing something embarrassing, you know, resurfaced. I mean, many kids of influencer families have their names, dates of birth, school info, and other types of information totally public. I don't know. What does it mean that these kids kind of have their lives out in the open like this?
I mean, I think we're still learning. And that's the reason that I wrote this book, is because I wanted to know what does it mean? I mean, in the research for this book and for other stories that I've written, I've talked to this one young woman who her first menstrual cycle was made into a sponsored ad. And she had to like go to school the next day and be like, well, everyone knows I got my period. And it's like, what? Like, I literally cannot imagine. I cannot imagine what that's like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially too, like when you're a child, your world is a lot smaller. Yeah. It is your school. Like getting your period is the biggest thing that's ever happened to you. Your family is your world, and having all of that, like your entire world at that point in time, being available for everybody to have an opinion on or to take part in. I mean, that's really significant.
I truly cannot imagine. And I think one of the things that influencer kids have told me is that they're not allowed to move past what their parents put online. So they are always seen as the 13-year-old, the 15-year-old, the 11-year-old that their parents first put online. And then when they grow up and they want to be an adult and they want to maybe start dating or they want to have like more adult interests, people are like, but you're still this little kid that I was watching, do face painting on YouTube. And they're like, no, I'm an adult. And so I think it's very fascinating the way that we like stick these kids in amber and don't let them grow up.
We're going to take a quick break, but first, if you're a longtime listener or brand new to It's Been a Minute, be sure to come back every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes. And did you know you can make it even easier to get new episodes by hitting the follow or subscribe button on your favorite podcast app? Whether you're a new friend or a loyal bestie, join the team by subscribing today. Coming up after the break,
many huge influencers who made millions of dollars and got millions of followers and subscribers off showing their kids have decided to take their kids offline.
Stick around.
This message comes from BetterHelp. People talk about mental health more openly now, but asking for help can still feel hard. BetterHelp's 2026 State of Stigma report surveyed 2,000 Americans and found that 85% believe getting support is wise, yet 74% say society discourages people from doing so. Don't let stigma stand in the way of support. Start therapy with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/NPR. Support for this podcast and the following message come from strawberry.me. Be honest. Are you happy with your job? Are you stuck in a job you've outgrown or never wanted in the first place? Are your reasons for staying really just excuses for not leaving? Let a career coach from strawberry.me help you get unstuck. Discover the benefits of having a dedicated career coach in your corner and get 50% off your first coaching session at strawberry.me/NPR.
This message comes from Wise, the smart way to manage your money around the world. With Wise, you can send, spend, and receive money in over 40 currencies at the mid-market rate. Learn more at wise.com. T's and C's apply. This message comes from Thumbtack. Some tasks can feel easy, but home projects can bring second guesses. Is that noise normal? Is that water damage? Who should be called? That's where Thumbtack comes in. Just upload a photo or voice note, and it uses AI-powered search to match with the right top-rated local pro. So instead of guessing, there's clarity and confidence when hiring. For your next home project, try Thumbtack. Hire the right pro today.
Another sort of section of the audience we haven't really discussed. I mean, there's a lot of creeps looking at these kids.
I know.
And following these accounts. Like, some of them are leaving pedophilic comments. Like, how widespread is that issue?
It's pretty widespread. I mean, I would say probably every single family creator that I talked to, when I brought that up, they had their own experience with it, with having comments, with having messages sent to them with pedophilic intent. It's not uncommon, and they are weighing the pros and cons. That's the thing, is I think people are like, oh, these parents aren't even thinking about the pedophiles who are watching them. And it's like, no, they are thinking about it, but they're coming to a different answer than you would.
How do they explain their thinking when you talk to them?
So something that I heard a few times was, well, you can't control everyone. If you go out to the park, there could be like a creep, like watching from like, I don't know, behind the tree or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's like technically true. Like, you can't control everything. And like, but also you can control some things. And then it's interesting because the parents will be like, they have very specific rules about like what they post or not. So they'll be like, oh, well, I don't post the kids in bathing suits.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, it's really, that chapter, I mean, made me sick to my stomach. And it was really difficult to have those interviews and to talk to those parents about it. I mean, I talked to one parent vlogger who got a comment on a video of her 8-year-old, and it was really disgusting, and asking to see underneath the girl's skirt. And I asked the mom, well, what did you do after you got that comment? And she said, well, I blocked the user and I reported him and whatever. And then she said, and then I told my daughter about it. And I was like,
gosh.
And I was like, what wait, what do you mean you told your daughter who is 8? And she was like, well, I have a policy of transparency and honesty and blah, blah, blah. And so I told her, like, there are bad people in the world and sometimes they're commenting on your stuff, but, your dad and I are like on top of it and whatever. And I was like really fascinated by that because I was like, I could understand, I guess, having that conversation if it were a jumping off point to say, and now we're not going to put you online, or now we're not going to show you in this specific situation or whatever. But it wasn't any of that. It was just, hey, this pedophile commented on you, and that's that. And I was just like, I couldn't understand. And like, to be fair, my children are really young. I have a newborn and a 2-year-old. So like, I don't know about explaining terrible things like that to children, but it felt very strange to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of mental gymnastics involved in what
Yes.
you're describing. But, as you also said, there are people that are possibly endangering their children and encroaching upon their privacy, or at least sharing their personal information. There's at least a chunk of people that are making money from that, and significant money. And they're able to sort of fund, whatever they might want for their family. And there's some people who become rich from this. But also, there are parents that don't make a lot of money doing this stuff. Like, some people experience these downsides and are making like maybe 3 figures a month.
Totally. But I think it's the hope, right? It all feeds into, for me, the like American dream. Like, I feel like influencing is the new American dream, where it's like, but I could be not literally a billionaire, but I could be a millionaire. I could be the person who makes it. And so they put up with the abuses and with the pedophilic comments, and they put up with, people snarking on them in the hopes that they will one day be at the top of the pyramid. I mean, the attention feels really good, right?
And when you talk about the attention, I mean, it feels connected to what was so exciting about, again, before family influencing, mommy blogging in the first place. Being a mother specifically, at least as it currently works in our society, is like a pretty thankless task.
Yeah. Me, like 2 weeks postpartum.
I'm saying this from outside the club, but this is like, just from what I can see, it seems like it's a pretty thankless task. And I suppose, understand psychologically the desire to have some recognition for that.
That is a big part of it, I think, is that you are making motherhood, which is this largely unseen and unpaid labor, you're making it seen and in some cases paid. But even if you're just making it seen, there's really a lot of validation in that, because the work of motherhood is so monotonous sometimes and so full of drudgery. And it's also so beautiful and it's so incredible, but it's so hard and it's so private, right? Like, I was up every hour last night with my newborn. I mean, my husband was there, but like, also I'm breastfeeding, so he couldn't really like help that much. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just here doing this and no one's paying attention to me, right? Like, no one's looking at this and giving me any kind of like kudos for it. But if I were an influencer and I set up my phone and I said, look at my night with a newborn, I would have thousands of people telling me, you go, mama, like, you got this, like, da 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 da. And so that would be very validating. And it would be like, oh, I'm not alone, even though I wasn't like creating the content myself. And I was consuming it, ostensibly for the book research, but then I found myself reaching for it when I was alone in the middle of the night nursing my daughter.
Going back to some of the issues that come along with family influencing, it's not just an issue of privacy or safety. Like, you went in depth in your book on how being an influencer kid changes the family dynamic. I mean, you reported that many kids are bribed in some way to do videos they don't want to do, and they have pretty tight filming schedules in addition to all of the other things that they might do, like go to school or play sports or whatever. I mean,
well, I think to turn the family relationship from a familial relationship into a business relationship alters it forever. And I don't think there's really a way to go back. I remember the first influencer kid I ever talked to for one of my stories told me, I don't know what other families talk about because my family just talks about YouTube all the time. Like, when we're together, we're talking about the channel. I don't know what other families talk about. And I was like so struck by that. And I think once you change the family dynamic in that way, where you become the boss of your child, it's very difficult to change it back. And it's just like, I do think about that sometimes with my daughter. I think about when I'm like trying to get her dressed for the day and she doesn't want to wear what I picked out for her. And so she wears something else and it doesn't match and whatever, but it's still cute and whatever. And I'm like, wow, if I were an influencer, I would have to like bribe her to do this. And then how would that change our relationship? Or I think
Yeah.
when she's crying and she's sad about something, I'm like, I wonder what she would do. And I've always wanted to test it, but I can't bring myself to do it. I wonder what she would do if I would record her during while she was sad or having a tantrum, because that's what these kids are going through, is they're getting recorded in their most intimate moments. I legitimately think my daughter would slap my phone out of my hand. And she's never done that, but I feel like she would.
On the extreme side of what can really happen with these family dynamics, with family influencing, I mean, there have also been a few high-profile cases of family influencers abusing their kids. Ruby Frankie is maybe the most prominent example. She had a pretty popular family YouTube channel before getting kind of indoctrinated by a quote-unquote life coach. And plenty of viewers saw this slide start to happen and were worried for these kids. There are a lot of people who are watching family influencers of all kinds who are eagle-eyed, right? And you write even hoping for a sign that not everything is as great as it seems, behind the scenes. And the Frankie case is a validation of some of that thinking that I think might even verge on conspiratorial.
Totally. I think people looked at Ruby Frankie and they said, I knew it. I knew that it was this dark behind the scenes of family vlogs and mom influencing. People ask me, and there's almost this glee to it, and it really creeps me out. But it's who's going to be the next Ruby Frankie? Who's going to be the next mom influencer or dad influencer that we find out is actually abusing their kids? And I'm like, well, I hope no one. But people are really looking out for that. They want to know who the next person to fall from grace is going to be, which again, I think is a very human thing, but it's also very dark.
I mean, you spoke to several parents who fully understood these issues and they continue to influence anyway. But you had a fair bit of empathy and understanding for why they do it. What did you think about it?
It's really difficult because I think, I do have a lot of empathy. I think looking around at this country, how difficult it is to make a living, how difficult it is to be a working mother specifically, how difficult it is to afford childcare and to have a work-life balance. I noticed in the writing of this book that family influencing and mom vlogging is the only career that I can think of where having a child is a positive benefit to a woman's career. And this really struck me because I love my children. They are my world, but they are detriments to my career. They just are. That's just the reality of being a working mother. But you make that decision anyway. But if I could find a job like this where they are bonuses, literally, you actually make more money having more kids. I mean, I talked to parents who said, I made $25,000 a year in my previous job, and now I make that off of half a brand deal. How are you going to say that you would not consider that? And then they say, I can give my kids things that I never could have dreamt that I could give my kids. And so I think as a parent myself, I understand that. And I understand looking at your children and thinking, I would do anything to give you the world. But it's fascinating because I also look at my children and I think, I just want to keep you so safe and so private. And these parents have the opposite. They take the opposite route. But I do understand it. I wouldn't do it, but I understand it.
I mean, as we were discussing earlier with regard to the labor of being a mother in general, like you said, the labor of motherhood is, quote, expected, taken for granted, invisible. The promise of the mom influencer and family vlogger is a dream. You will be paid for the labor of motherhood and you will be paid well. Right? Well, kind of. That's the thing about mom influencers. They're not getting paid for the labor of motherhood because there is no payment for the labor of motherhood. They're getting paid for the performance of that labor, end quote. Whew, that's a bar right there.
Thank you.
Talk to me about that performance. I wonder what seeing all this content means for us, the viewers. What kinds of ideas or values does this cement into our culture about parenting or motherhood or families?
I mean, I think especially right now, as culture kind of takes this rightward swing, we're really seeing this conservative messaging coming through in family vlogging and mom influencing. You see these moms who are, making everything from scratch, who have 4, 5, 6, 7 kids, and they don't look like they had any kids. They look, beautiful and incredible, and they're put together every day. And the idea is that their home is their domain, and they do it beautifully, and they do not struggle. And if they do struggle, it's in these tidy kind of ways that are wrapped up by the end of an Instagram caption, right? And that's not indicative of the way I experience actual motherhood and its real struggles.
There's also this idea that they're doing it all with no help.
LOL.
I follow people who like talk about cleaning and different cleaning methods. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, my house will be clean. I have no kids. Okay. Some of these people got like 4 or 5 kids and their houses are spotless. And I'm like, well, I have no kids. I got to get it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't occur to me for a moment that these people were not doing this on their own. Talk to me about how that fits into all of this fantasy as well.
Yeah, many family influencers and mom influencers have paid help behind the scenes that do not feature in their videos. So they have nannies. Sometimes they have full-time, 24/7 nannies. They have house cleaners. They have house managers. They have editors. They have videographers. And none of these people are featured in the content. And I think this is not to shame anyone for having help. I have help and it makes me as sane of a mother as I can be. But I think to promote this perfection and this purported perfection and to say, I do this on my own, or at least to insinuate that you do this on your own and you actually have so much help behind the scenes, it just makes other mothers feel even worse when they can't reach that perfection. I mean, like you're saying, like you're looking at these accounts and you're like, why isn't my house this clean? I'm looking at these accounts and thinking, why doesn't my kid look this perfect? Why don't I look this perfect? Why can't I make sourdough from scratch and also take care of an infant at the same time? But it's because that's not what's actually happening.
That is so wild. What's being shown on these accounts and things like that, it's just so different from how my mom described motherhood, from what I could observe of my mom being a parent. And me and my sisters cutting up and getting on her nerves.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, it's different from how you describe motherhood, like as this like intensely messy experience. I mean, you say in the book, quote, the difference between the way influencers present motherhood and the actual experience of it is so stark that they don't even feel reflective of the same experience, end quote. No. I mean, I think it could make anyone feel kind of nuts. Like if you're watching this, like, these videos, looking at these photos or whatever, I can imagine that creates like some added pressure from what you think you should be doing as a parent.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I should know better of anyone, right? Like I am a journalist who covers this and who knows that there are nannies and house managers and cleaners behind the scenes. And still I watch this content for work or for pleasure or for, hate watching or whatever you want to call it. And I feel terrible. Like, I'm like, why haven't I gotten myself together? I'm 2 weeks postpartum. Nara Smith was making content 8 hours postpartum. And it's like, it's insane. It's insane.
There's like a whole group of people that we haven't really discussed, which is like dads. Like, where are the dads?
Where are the dads? What are the dads up to?
Where are the dads in all this?
It's very conservative coded, the way that the dads are kind of in the background and the moms are not, they're not the head of the family because the dads are the head of the family, but the moms are kind of like the face of the family, right? And when the dads show up in this content, they're kind of in the background or they're doing fun things. They're not doing the labor of parenthood day in and day out. Like you see very few dad influencers who are like, this is me taking care of my kid all day and all night. Like that's just not how it goes. And I think that's because it's very rare for dads to take that role in the family. It's much more common, and traditional for mothers to take that role.
I wonder, how should we think about the existence of kids and content online? Like, should there be legal protections? Like, or does there need to be a more cultural shift? Like, this is happening. I don't necessarily see it stopping anytime soon. So, like, what do we do? How should we think about this? What do we do?
It's a big question. There are a few states that have passed laws related to the income of influencer children. So they've kind of passed these laws that are analogous to like child actor laws. So like if you're featured in this much content, then this percentage of it has to be saved until you're 18 in a trust. But there's really nothing about privacy or about working hours or about consent. And so I think there's still a really long way to go, but it's very difficult to, especially in America, to legislate what people do in their own homes, right? Like this is a family, this is the choice that they're making for their kids. And it's just another choice that parents get to make for their children. But I do think there's been a cultural change in the zeitgeist where many huge influencers who made millions of dollars and got millions of followers and subscribers off showing their kids have decided to take their kids offline. And now you even see this trickling down to like regular parents. Like it's fascinating because in my social circles, I'm 33, I have 2 kids. And when my friends have kids, it's kind of like a coin flip of whether they're going to show them online or not. And even like 3 years ago, it was like 95% of people showed their kids online and maybe 5% didn't. And now it's like 50-50, it feels like. And that's like normal people and influencers.
It's a lot to think about here.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a whole book worth, at least.
A whole book's worth. Oh my gosh, Fortessa, this is such a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
That was Fortessa Latifi, senior writer at Yahoo and author of Like, Follow, Subscribe, Influencer Kids and the Cost of Childhood Online. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Liam McBain.
This episode was edited by
Nina Patak.
Engineering support came from
Zoe Vangenhoven.
Our supervising producer is
Cher Vincent.
Our executive producer is
Barton Girdwood.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from Thumbtack. Some tasks can feel easy, but home projects can bring second guesses. Is that noise normal? Is that water damage? Who should be called? That's where Thumbtack comes in. Just upload a photo or voice note, and it uses AI-powered search to match with the right top-rated local pro. So instead of guessing, there's clarity and confidence when hiring. For your next home project, try Thumbtack. Hire the right pro today.
Hi, it's me, Peter Sagal, host of Wait, Don't Tell Me. It's summer, and if you want to turn your pool party into a nerd fest, check out our news quiz. We got comedians, we got celebrities, we got games to help you laugh about the week's news. Yeah, that news. It'll be just like we're all hanging out at your backyard barbecue. Listen every week to Wait, Don't Tell Me on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.